Hello, friends. In this session, let us do tax invoice, credit notes, and debit notes. That is your section 31 and 34 of CGST Act. Normally, a student will think that it would be very theoretical topic. It is exactly opposite. It is a very practical topic. It has to be directly connected with your time of supply. One. Secondly, whatever GST you have learned till now, you have to apply your full knowledge in this topic. Okay, means logically you have to learn this and try to understand this topic. Okay, so go to tax invoice section 31. You will enjoy each and every word of this provision because you have already learnt it while doing time of supply. It will keep on getting fixed in your mind, and of course some new things also you will learn. So see, 31 subsection 1. A registered person supplying which goods? Taxable goods, not exempt goods. Taxable goods shall, before or at the time of. See, you should understand one thing. Government is always happy. Earlier you make invoice, better it is for government. So always before is to welcome. One deadline is given. So section 31.1 talks about that deadline. When can you make invoice in case of supply of taxable goods? And who is going to make the invoice? The taxable person. Taxable person means who is registered. Yes. Before or at the time of removal of goods. What is A clause? When to make invoice? Before or at the time of removal of goods for supply to recipient, where supply involves, you have learned this in time of supply, that when supply involves movement of goods, make invoice before or at the time of removal of goods. B, in any other case, when to make invoice? Before or at the time of delivery of goods or making them available to the recipient. Means that means that you are sitting for what? Now sit like this. This pre-installed telecommunication towers you are selling, or pre-installed furniture you are selling. When to make invoice? When you are making these goods available to the recipient. Okay. Issue tax invoice showing what? Description, quantity, value. Very obvious. What the tax invoice should have? All these things. Description means what is sold, quantity sold, value, and such other particulars. I will tell you what other particulars. And if required, proviso says government may, on recommendation of council, by notification, specify category of goods or supplies in respect of which tax invoice shall be issued within such time and in such manner as may be prescribed. Means exceptions could be carved out if required. So let's consolidate what you have understood in subsection 1 of section 31. What it is saying, friends? It is saying that when to make tax invoice. In what case? Tax invoice in case of supply of dash goods. Supply of taxable goods. By whom? By whom? By registered person. Tell me, each and every word matters or not? Yes. So when to make this tax invoice? Two possibilities are there. Definite two possibilities are there. What are the two possibilities? Supply involves movement of goods, which is usual case. So when to issue invoice in this case? Before or at time of removal of goods. You have learned this already. I had asked you to come revised with time of supply provisions. In time of supply, section 12, subsection 2 of CGST Act, time of supply in case of forward charge mechanism, they were saying that time of supply is date of issue of invoice or the last date when invoice should have been issued as per section 31. This is 31. Acha, did you observe your app? I have made one folder called as GST Lab. Has anyone observed GST Lab? In GST Labs, I have already uploaded two videos. One video is of invoice of Redbus. That is how ECO is liable to pay GST. And one is holding advertisement of sale of flat. On sale of flat, the advertisement is there. In one, they are saying no GST because it is completed. OC is received. And in another, they are saying GST applicable because they are selling on in construction phase. So I've explained you that why such advertisements. So basically, one is of your scope of supply, schedule 2, and one is of your 9.5. So this way, whatever issues I observe around, through which you can learn GST, I keep on putting in that folder. So whenever you get time, you can watch that. So what I do, I usually take photo of that invoice, or I take photo of that whatever holding, and then I put it in that. Okay, and I of course do commentary on that. So you can observe it afterwards. So two possibilities. Supply involves movement of goods and supply what? Does not involve movement of goods. Now supply does not involve movement of goods. They have called as others. I'm telling you exactly. Supply does not involve movement of goods. When to make invoice? Before or at time of making goods, making goods available to recipient of supply. Any doubt till this point? Can I focus on contents? What should be the contents? What should be the contents of tax invoice? But can I discuss for both? For goods as well as almost contents will be same. So I can take liberty and talk about both. Contents. One, whatever you feel, smallest of the content. Start with that. Date. Because date will give you time of supply. So date is such an important content. After date, name. Name of whom? Name of supplier. Address of supplier. Then name of recipient of supply. Then address. of recipient of supply, then GSTIN of supplier, then GSTIN of recipient of supply if registered. I don't know he's registered or not, isn't it? Then description. Description of what? Goods slash services, because I am giving you common na, for both. After description, there is something called as HSN of goods. HSN stands for harmonized harmonized system of nomenclature. Harmonized system of nomenclature means classification of goods. Means if you put that this mouse, if you put on Google this mouse, what is the classification? You will get HSN, harmonized system of nomenclature. So what is mouse? So they will technically define it that it is electronic equipment. Then they will further describe it, and then they will try to get to the best possible classification which will give the perfect rate of GST. Now I have heard that they have started in Shark Tank India. There was one company that in a ring they are coming with facility. No, no, they are coming with facility of tap. So you can make payments using the ring. You'll just tap that ring and your payment will be done. Of course, you should preload it with your bank accounts balance and all. Getting it? So now, how will you classify these goods? What is the rate of GST for this? So you will have to understand its electronic item. Then you'll have to go wearable equipment. Then you will have to do what it does. So this way, your HSN will take you close to which goods exactly we are talking about. And in that HSN, in front of HSN, you have to observe what is the rate of GST. So this way you do classification of goods, which is important for understanding the exact rate of GST applicable for your goods. Okay, so it is not so straightforward. That vehicle, it is not vehicle. It is vehicle which category? Okay, is it SUV? Then how is SUV defined? Is it sedan? How is sedan defined? So that way. So these details will be in one code. That code is called as HSN. Okay. Then, like for goods it is HSN, for services it is SAC. Services Accounting Code. I think that when you saw the invoice of Indigo that I have shown you that day, there was a SAC. Or I have shown you invoice of Ola, ANI Technologies. There was SAC for renting of motor cab. This is going to be asked in exam. Color changed. Okay. Next. What is next? Next content, as someone was saying, value of goods slash services, value of goods, value of services, quantity, quantity of goods slash services. Then friends, rate of GST, rate of GST. Then nature of supply. You know nature of supply means what? Nature of supply means what? Whether it is intra or inter. You are forgetting one thing. Place of supply. And then chargeable GST. Chargeable GST means whether CGST plus SGST or IGST. Signature, whose signature? Signature of supplier, or his authorized, or his what? Authorized. Do you agree? Or his authorized representative. Think what else would be there in the invoice? Invoice value means what? Invoice value means what? Invoice value means nothing but accessible value plus GST. So these many things I could identify, I could imagine in an invoice. Now understand one more thing. So what things I'm telling you are sometimes given in the rules. I'm not telling you of my mind. I'm telling you of rules. In front of you, I'm reading. In front of you, I'm reading what? I'm reading the section, where act, wording, and then I'm combining that with my knowledge of rules. And I'm telling you combined effect. Next, you know that how to, I mean, in how many copies you should issue invoice. You will say, sir, what is this question? What are you asking? How many copies means copies of invoice. So if I talk about my what? If I talk about goods, I have to do for goods I have to do in triplicate. Triplicate means three copies. In case of services, duplicate. Duplicate means two copies. Why triplicate? In case of goods, copy number one will go to whom? Copy number one will go to ROS. Copy number two will go to whom? Transporter. And copy number three will remain with supplier. So this is called as original. This is called as duplicate, and this is called as what? Triplicate. Any doubt? What about services? You'll make in two, original and duplicate. Original for ROS, duplicate for. So whenever you go to do tax audit or any type of audit in articleship, you will observe all these invoices when you're doing audit. If your sales invoices are there, they will always be in duplicate because that copy remains with you. If it's for goods, it will be in triplicate. Third copy will be with you. Original has gone to buyer. Second has gone to transporter. Third is with you. So this is original, this is duplicate. May I go ahead? Now what we have seen, this 31.1, 31.1 was for goods. Now I will go to 31.2. 31.2 is when to make invoice for services. Shall we? Registered person supplying which services? Which person? Registered. Taxable service. You have learnt 30 days from date of provision of service. If banking service, 45 days. That comes from this plus rule. So Registered person supplying taxable services shall, before or after provision of service, but within prescribed period. That prescribed period is 30 days slash 45. I told you na, it comes by way of rule. So this word prescribed allows government to frame rule. Issue a tax invoice showing the description, value, tax, so on. Provided government may on recommendation of council by notification specify category of services or supplies in respect of which tax invoice shall be issued within such time in such manner as may be prescribed. Means they can carve out exception. And finally, one more thing, in case of service, it becomes critical to understand this. Every time not possible to issue tax invoice. Like you are traveling by bus, you will get ticket. If you are going for movie, you will get ticket. So every time not possible to issue tax invoice. If you have taken admission in VTechno, you will get receipt. So these documents are sufficient instead of tax invoice. So subject to condition mentioned therein, specify category of services in respect of which any other document issued in relation to supply shall be deemed to be tax invoice, or tax invoice may not be issued. So it's absolutely legal. It's absolutely legal. You cannot go to PVR Inox and tell them, give us tax invoice. Our sir has taught, you're giving taxable service, registered person, give us tax invoice. No. Go with full knowledge. Their ticket itself is deemed to be tax invoice. So officer can't say you have not issued invoices. And you can't demand, okay? You will make fool out of yourself. So 31.2 is tax invoices in case of in case of which services? I should be careful. In case of taxable services, two possibilities. Other than banking service, I will to write what matters now. Other than banking services, and second what? Banking services. For other than banking services, on, sorry, don't say like this. Within, can I directly say within 30 days from date of provision of service, and in banking services, within banking or other financial services, within 45 days from date of provision of service. Agreed now? 45, 30. May I go ahead? Still now no much value addition. Next. Now starts value addition. But we have already done it. 31.3 revised invoice. I need not now explain you again. Yesterday we did a lot of investment of time in this. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 and 2, means overriding effect over 1 and 2, registered person may, so revised invoice is compulsory or optional? Optional. May within what time? 1 month. From what? Date of issuance of certificate of registration and in such manner as may be prescribed. Issue a revised invoice against the invoice already issued during the period beginning with effective date of registration till date of issuance of certificate of registration to him. Word and word I have understood. With two examples we have seen. So I will just mention here. I will not do anything. I will just mention section 31 subsection 3 clause A is dealing with revised tax invoice. So normal student, ask normal another student of CA who has not studied in detail. He will tell you revised invoice means if you make mistake in original invoice. If you make mistake in original invoice, then you don't issue a revised invoice. If you do mistake in original invoice, then you issue either debit note or credit note. If you want to increase the value, you will issue debit note. If you want to decrease the value, you will issue credit note. That doesn't happen with revised invoice. Revised invoice, very specific use. Next, B. Go to B. See B. What is B? Registered person may not issue tax invoice. One relief is given to you not to issue tax invoice. When? If the value of goods or services or both supplied is less than 200 rupees. Less than 200. Subject to such conditions and in such manner as may be prescribed. Very simple issue actually, but see how deep it is. It is which section? Section 31, subsection 3, clause B. Isn't it? What are they talking about? See, understand. Whatever supply I have done of taxable goods, how that supply could be? So how means? How means it can be B2B or it can be B2. What is B2B? Means this is done to whom? Exactly. Or it could be done to unregistered. Yes or no? To unregistered person to, sorry, to registered person to unregistered person. Now when I am seller of goods, I am having a printing and stationery shop. There is a printing and stationery shop here in the basement. If VTechno goes there and tells them that we want to make books, this GST books you got. So can you please make 30 copies of that? They will say, do you need invoice? VTechno should say yes. Why? Because VTechno is charging students output tax. And on the expense which they are doing, they want to claim ITC. So stationery shop will understand it is B2B. So what they will ask, what is your GST number? So VTechno will give them GST number. So now in their system, VTechno's GST number is feed. Next time what happens? A attendant from here is sent there to buy pen of 100 rupees. Then they will book this and they will give a separate tax invoice. Because stationery shop knows this supply is done to VTechno. And VTechno is what? Registered. So always, in such cases, always make what? Separate what? Tax invoice. Irrespective of, forget that 200 rupees. Irrespective of value. It's not my opinion, it is the law. Because 31 3b was leaving the point open that in the manner as may be prescribed. So this is the law. When you are doing B2B supply, always make separate tax invoice. And logical, VTechno wants to claim ITC. If they don't make invoice, VTechno will not be able to claim ITC. But when it is B2C, then government says there are two possibilities. What two possibilities? Value is value is less than how much? 200. And second possibility, value is more than or equal to 200. If value is less than 200, see, many times you have gone to stationery shop. I told you that make this notebook, that notebook. On that day you went to stationery shop, bought the notebook. Did you ask for tax invoice? Anyone got tax invoice for that notebook? No, because you did not demand. So if you are not interested in taking tax invoice, they will not give you. Because who are you? End end customer, unregistered person. So they are doing B2C. And value of supply is less than 200. You will say, sir, sometimes we have purchased more than 200. Still we did not get. They made. They did not give you copy because you did not ask. If you ask copy, they will have to give you. Today do this experiment. Even 1 rupee thing you buy and you ask copy of invoice, they will have to give. Getting it? So if value is less than 200 and 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 ROS does not need separate invoice, and ROS does not need what? Separate invoice. That is the point. If ROS still wants, then he will have to make. And if ROS does not need separate invoice, in that situation, no need of separate invoice. No need of what? See my words properly. I'm not saying no need of tax invoice. I'm saying no need of separate invoice. Means what? Acha, if value of supply is less than 200, does it mean that it is GST free? It doesn't mean that it is GST free. It just means that separate document is not made. So what you will do, you know? What you will do, you know? Declare these supplies. Declare which supplies? These means which supplies? Where you have not made separate invoice. Declare these supplies. Where? Declare these supplies in what? Consolidated tax invoice prepared at end of the day. Did you understand? Did you understand? Student went to that stationery shop. Suppose I tell you that we are going to start with income tax from 31st of March. So on 30 March, from this class, 15 students went there and bought one notebook of say 75 rupees each. They will not give any one of you separate tax invoice because none of you demanded. It was B2C. But that doesn't mean it was GST free. So all these 15 students supply, they will record in a single invoice, which they will make at the end of the day, which will be called as consolidated tax invoice. And the name of recipient of supply will be to various recipient of supply because they are not bothered to whom they have sold because you are not bothered of taking ITC. Getting it? This is called as consolidated tax invoice, which will be prepared at the end of the day. Only one invoice. All B2C supplies. Value less than 200. If value is 200 or more, then what? Make compulsory. Make separate invoice. Mind you, I want to tell you one thing. Exact 200 also will fall here. Make separate invoice. Did you all get it? Understood? Shall we go ahead? Next. Next comes 31 3C. Yes or no? If you are selling which goods? Exempted goods. You will say, sir, we are selling exempted goods. Why you are troubling us? Exempted goods forms part of aggregate turnover. So it's not that we should not count your exempted supply. We should count your exempted supply also. Understood the logic? Why we have to do this topic in the end? Because you have now started understanding GST and there's the importance of counting your exempted supply also. Because your exempted supply plus taxable supply together forms aggregate turnover. So if you are doing exempted supply of services, of goods, or both, and or paying tax under 10, if you are paying tax in 10, then you need to count turnover, na? Because you want to pay GST on quarterly basis. So what is the document to prove your turnover? This document which we are talking about. You can't issue tax invoice because they are not going to charge output tax. So which document you issue? So shall issue instead of tax invoice, which document? I had told you this, bill of supply containing such particulars and in such manner as may be prescribed. And now no need to issue separate bill of supply if value of supply is less than 200 rupees. So first of all, write this important provision. Bill of supply who issues? Who issues bill of supply? Who issues bill of supply? Yes. Wow. Supply. But in what cases? In case of, by the way, registered person. Because friends, if I'm unregistered, then GST law doesn't apply to me. So I cannot tell you anything about unregistered person. They can do anything. How can I control them who are not registered with me? So I'm talking about a registered person. In case of supply of dash goods, exempted goods slash services, and registered person in case opting for in case opted for section 10. Now 10 of CGST Act. It will include both 10.1 and 10.2A. Two composition schemes are there now. And that small note. No need to issue. No need of separate bill of supply. In what case? No need of separate bill of supply if value is less than rupees 200. Don't say less than or equal to, less than. Makes sense? 31 3C is done. Now we go to 31.3 D. Just keep in one, just keep one point in mind. Hmm. That no document is useless. Means every document will have some connection with time of supply. Or in this case, bill of supply for calculating my aggregate turnover. Next. So 31, which it is 31 3 E. Is it E? It is D only. D. Fine. It is D you are saying. What happened, you know? Do you remember the example of marriage hall? Marriage hall, marriage is to be conducted on, say, 15th September. But that marriage hall is receiving advance on 1st May. So what is the time of supply for that advance? 1st May. Because time of supply is date of issue of invoice or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Invoice so I can issue afterwards, because invoice can be issued within 30 days from date of provision of service. So government has given me liberty to issue invoice within 30 days from 15 September in this case. What about 1st May's advance? What document should I make for that? You will say why document is required. Document is required because time of supplies is in month of May. So you will have to pay GST on this. What is the reference of paying GST? So they say make a document called as receipt voucher. Receipt voucher and invoice, two different things. Why? In receipt voucher, I have not yet booked the sales. I'm just receiving an advance. There is a possibility on 15 September marriage doesn't take place in that hall. Whatever reason, I might have to give refund. Friends, tell me, government is interested in which document? Are they interested in receipt voucher or will they be interested in refund voucher? Receipt voucher. Because of receipt voucher, GST liability is going up. So for receipt voucher, which word they have used? Registered person shall. Shall do what? On receipt of advance payment with respect to any good, service or both, issue receipt voucher. Got it? And because of refund voucher, if what happened, 15 September marriage did not take place in that hall, and happily or unhappily, supplier refunded the money or part of the money. So supplier will say, I will not pay GST on this because service never happened. Understood? So now what he will do? He will have to reduce his output tax. Government is in pain. Government says you may you what? You may issue refund voucher. If you forget to issue refund voucher, we as government are happiest because anyways we have already collected GST. Understood? Got the point? So for giving refund, issuing refund voucher policy is may, but for collecting GST policy is shall. You see the word, selection of words. Shashi Tharoor is sitting there, selecting shall and may. Very intelligent selection of words. Very aptly grammar has been used. So if anyone doesn't issue a refund voucher and he forgets to issue, then the tax is already with government. But if anyone forgets to issue what? Receipt voucher, then demand GST because shall. Okay. So see 31D, 31(3)(d). Can I club 31(3)(d) and 31(3)(e)? Don't get too obsessed with subsection and clause. I'm writing it here only because afterwards you should make it out. What is what? That's why. So this is your receipt voucher and this is your refund voucher. Shall issue, may issue, shall issue on receipt of advance. May issue when may issue. May issue if goods slash services not provided against what? Against advance received and therefore advance is dash. Therefore advance is what? Refunded. Be a deep study deeply. Understand section 16 subsection 2 clause B. When can I take ITC? Only when goods or services are actually received. So means what? Means V Techno took a big auditorium for an event. They booked it by giving advance. Event is to be taken place after 2 months. But for some reason, event got cancelled. They can't take ITC when they paid the advance. They can take ITC only when event happens. So government says we will not give you ITC first. Why? There is a possibility of event not taking place and there is a possibility of supplier reducing his output tax afterwards. So we don't want to give you ITC as soon as you pay the advance. While giving ITC, we are conservative. While collecting tax, we are aggressive. Okay, so see, what is the effect of this receipt voucher? Yes, effect of this receipt voucher is output tax goes up. What is the effect of refund voucher? Output tax goes down. Both these documents reference has to be given in GSTR1 because it is affecting your output tax. I told you no document is useless. Anyways, we are not asking ROS to make any documents till now because till now we are referring to those documents of supplier means FCM. We will also ask na, who ROS to make documents when is liable to pay GST on RCM. So see now as we go ahead, clause F. We have come to clause F. I am going to analyze F and G together. You will be surprised now what type of provision this is. Clause F and clause G of section 31(3). Last clauses in 31(3). You know F is what? F is self invoice. You would have never imagined. F is self invoice. And G is payment voucher. Payment voucher. What is self invoice? Okay. So lot of explanation I'll have to give. What is payment voucher? I will first tell you. Whose date of making payment is important? Recipient of supply in RCM. Because in RCM, so payment voucher is important in section 13.3 and 12.3. Means what? In case of RCM. Because in RCM, what is the time of supply? In RCM, time of supply is, suppose I talk about RCM of 12.3, then it is what dates? Then it is date of receipt of goods, date of making payment, or date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice or any other document in lieu thereof. In 13.3 it is again date of making payment or date immediately following 60 days from the date of issue of invoice, isn't it? In short, in both cases, what matters? Date of making payment. So to prove that ROS, to prove that ROS shall issue document called as payment voucher. Clear? Any doubt? Payment voucher is still acceptable. Now what is this self invoice? Understand self invoice. Let's understand self invoice. Okay. I will have to go to examples of RCM. First example, many examples of RCM. Recovery agent, our favorite example. Recovery agent giving a service to bank. Who is liable to pay GST? Bank. Open your eyes. Bank is ROS. Recovery agent is supplier. Bank is paying. Bank is paying commission of say 5 lakhs. He did nice recovery of many loans. So bank is paying commission of what? 5 lakhs. Friends, on this 5 lakh, bank has to pay GST directly to government. My question is very simple. This GST of 90,000 paid by bank, is it an outward supply or inward supply? This 90,000 rupees GST paid by bank, is it on the outward supply or inward supply? Inward supply. This inward supply is used in business or for personal use? Business. So don't you think they should claim ITC? They should claim ITC. What is the condition for claiming ITC? He should be in possession of tax invoice. But this recovery agent, yesterday you learnt, he is unregistered. Government told him in 23.2, don't be registered. Unregistered person can't issue tax invoice. So how will bank take ITC now? Make invoice on yourself. Exactly. There comes question of self. Supplier and recipient of supply, both GSTIN will be of bank only. Means on one hand, they will pay GST to government on RCM. On other hand, they will take ITC. Don't say then, why to do this? You have to do this. Because bank, suppose they are going for 17.4, they can avail only 50%. Whichever case it is, you have to do this drill. You have to pay your GST on RCM. And one more thing, see, so deep. No, thank you. No, don't worry. Listen carefully. 49.5. What is 49.5? Utilization of ITC to pay what? Say that again, to pay output tax. You can never use ITC to pay tax on inward supply. That has to be compulsorily paid in cash. You might be very rich in ITC. You have 1 lakh rupees ITC balance lying in e-credit, but you have taken one service on which GST is payable on RCM. You have to deposit money in e-cash ledger and pay from e-cash ledger. Every word matters now. That's why I'm repeating those words. 49.5. Utilization of ITC to pay output tax. Okay. So see, this GST of 90,000 is paid on inward supply on which dash can be availed, on which ITC can be availed. Okay. But to avail ITC, he should be in Nini. He means bank. He means in our example, bank should be in possession of tax invoice. But supplier is URD. Therefore, bank shall make what? Invoice on itself. Is the provision clear? Otherwise, if you read it plainly, you will say, what is happening? I am making invoice on myself. And then some people ask me, then won't we take advantage of this? Make more and more invoices on myself. But to claim ITC, third condition is tax on supply should be actually paid. Now, when you actually pay, then only you can take ITC. So, no one will do that. Every nice fielding is set. See, F. Registered person who is liable to pay tax under 3 or 4 of 9. Now, no one has problem in 3 or 4 of 9 means RCM. Issue an invoice in respect of goods or services or both received by him. From whom? From the supplier who is not registered. And what is G? Registered person who is liable to pay tax under 3 or 4 of 9 shall issue payment voucher at the time of making payment to the supplier. Make sense? Till now, any document waste, useless, unnecessary? No. Each document linked with time of supply. And bill of supply linked with calculating aggregate turnover. No document is waste. And now you have to link all these documents with accounts and records. Afterwards, you link this with maintaining this document properly is keeping your record. Okay, now come here. you have not yet imagined all the possible situations. Now you start imagining some different situations, because government has to think about multiple transactions happening throughout India. They can't just say invoice and end the issue. Point is, there is one concept called as what? Continuous supply of goods. Continuous supply of goods defined in section 2 clause 33. Defined in section 2 clause 32, my bad. Section 2 clause 32 of CGST Act. So what is this? What is this? Continuous supply of goods. When to make invoice usually? When, if you're talking, no, invoice for goods. When usually to issue invoice of goods? Before or at the time of removal of goods? There are some goods which are removed on continuous basis. Like, my company is manufacturing cooking gas, which is a goods, and I'm supplying you that cooking gas via pipe in your house. Now tell me, when do I make invoice? Understood? Continuous supply of goods. Or one factory is there which is manufacturing chemicals, giving those chemicals to another factory. Chemicals are supplied by putting a pipeline. Removal is happening every minute. When to make invoice? Problem, na? So imagine when to make invoice. What can you imagine? Imagine now when to make invoice. So sometime as a supplier, I will expect from you payment. How do you get cooking gas bill? On monthly basis. So government says on monthly basis, supplier is expecting amount from recipient of supply. So make invoice also on monthly basis. Supplier can't collect what he is eligible to collect without collecting what government is eligible to collect. Did you understand my statement? Means supplier should collect, suppose your bill for that cooking gas is 1000 rupees. Supplier can't collect his 1000 without collecting government's 180. In short, make invoice when the payment gets due. You can't give only the statement of consumption. What is 1000? 1000 rupees worth of gas you have consumed. Now I can't just say pay 1000 to me. I will have to give it in the format of tax invoice, saying that pay my 1000 and pay government's 180. You will say it is obvious, sir. Obvious thing also has to be written in the law. So they made a concept of continuous supply of goods. What is continuous supply of goods? These goods are supplied on these goods are supplied on read it, what is written? Recurrent basis means continuous basis. By which mode? By modes of wire, pipeline, or any other conduct, mode of conduct. That's not important. By mode of wire, pipeline, etc. That's not important what you call it. So in this case, what will be the time of what will be the date of issue of invoice? And why are we so much focusing on date of invoice? Because date of invoice is going to define time of supply. Because date of invoice is nothing but time of supply. Because time of supply is date of issue of invoice. So I told you now, time of supply topic will be complete only when we do 31. in such cases? Tell me. When to issue invoice? In case of continuous supply of goods, where successive statement of accounts or successive payments are involved. Successive means what? In coming month, coming quarter, coming half year, coming fortnight. I don't know what is agreement between supplier and recipient of supply. Their agreement could be monthly, agreement could be quarterly, but it is successive. So successive, what is involved? Statement of accounts means consumption or successive payments. Invoice shall be issued before or at the time of such statement, or as the case may be, when such payment is received. In short, what we are trying to say is that there are two possibilities in this case. What are the two possibilities? One possibility is successive dash is involved. Successive SOA, statement of accounts, are involved. What statement of accounts do? They show consumption. They show consumption. What is second possibility? Successive payments are involved. When to make tax invoice? On or before issue of such statement of account. And in this case, on or before receipt of such payments. Hope all of you understood what government is trying to convey you. Your client could be selling some liquid items by pipeline. Then he will ask you, when should I make invoice? Then you should remember section 2 clause 32. You should tell him this is continuous supply of goods. Make invoice when you are expecting payment. Make tax invoice. Clear? And if monthly you are sending consumption details, send it in the format of tax invoice. And that itself will become your time of supply. Now comes, so basically this was 31, no, 4. For this part, TOS part means date of invoice part, it was 31 4. 4, na? Yes, 4. And for this part, definition part, it was section 2 clause 32. Now comes continuous supply of what? Services. For this now I am going to show you invoice. For continuous supply of services I am going to show you invoice. But it's a very confidential invoice. It is of an invoice where one person bought house. House, bought house, bought house under construction phase. When you buy house under construction phase, what it is? Supply of service, construction service. How do you pay? Do you pay on day one or do you pay as and when construction is done. As and when construction is done. And continuous supply of service means which is given for span of more than 3 months. So construction will continue for more than 3 months. So what builder does? When you book the flat, he takes advance from you. So at time of this advance, he is supposed to issue invoice. Second, what he does, he tells you, once first floor slab is done, I will take so much amount from you. Usually 7% of the contract value. So if contract value is 1 CR, he will demand 7 lakh when first floor slab is done. So as soon as first floor slab is done, he is supposed to give me tax invoice demanding 7 lakh plus GST. Continuous supply of services. Who will decide first slab is done? They will call me, hello, first slab is done. Come here, inspect. I'll say, no, I am in Tumkur. I'll come next month. Then we'll see. Architect will give certificate of first slab completed. You also call it work certified. In costing, you will learn work certified. So when this work is certified, then they have to send me invoice compulsorily because my money becomes due to them when on completion of that work. Getting it? So this amount they should recover from me along with GST. Government says it's fine, 100% flat you are going to get afterwards. But when is supplier expecting the money of 7% after completion of first slab? So when government should expect GST? After completion of first slab. Supplier is ready to accept money. Recipient of supply is ready to pay money. Why government should not get money? Government should also get money stage wise. You cannot say government take money in the end. Our government doesn't cannot take it from you in the beginning only. They are taking it completion wise. Okay, so what is this? Continuous supply of services. Where is it defined? It is defined in section 2 clause 33 of CGST Act. What is the meaning? What is the meaning? Do you know what is the meaning? Meaning is services supplied continuously for more than dash months, for more than 3 months, importantly, and where successive payments are involved. What is involved? Successive payments are involved. You cannot, supplier is expecting payment successively. They can't accept this payment saying government will not give you payment now. They will have to issue tax invoice. So now what they are going to do? They are going to say subject to provisions of clause D of subsection 3 in case of continuous supply of services. What will happen in case of continuous supply of services? Three possibilities. I told you only one possibility. I told you this possibility. Payment is linked to completion of an event. I told you this possibility. Another possibility I'll tell you. Airtel giving me service. Postpaid connection. When does this supply end? Never. Unless I disconnect my connection. Supply continues. Which supply? Continuous. Because it is for more than 3 months. But you will say, sir, when do I get bill? Monthly basis. So monthly basis, what are they giving me monthly basis? Statement of my consumption. How much call I made, which all plans I have activated. Correct, na? If next month I go to UK and I activate roaming, then they will give me bill of roaming also for this month. In short, how they are collecting money from me? Monthly basis. So where due date of payment is ascertainable from the contract. So which contract you and Airtel did? We did no contract. When I gave them my address proof, my photo, my identity proof, they gave me one form and they put cross like this and said sign here. Then I signed there. That was contract between Airtel supplier and recipient of supply. Don't say how contract we entered. We entered into contract with all these companies. So, but we don't read it. In that contract, it was written that due date of payment is ascertainable. It was written that billing cycle will be monthly. Okay. When to make invoice? Invoice shall be issued on or before due date of payment. But if due date of payment is not ascertainable from the contract, government says give us money. When you receive the payment, give us also money. So when to make invoice? Before or at the time when supplier of service receives the payment. Three possibilities are there. So what three possibilities? Tell me. Tell me. Almost about to end. Tell me. So in this case, what is TOS? Where is TOS defined? 31. What? Which 31 is going on? 31? Huh? 5. How many possibilities? What three possibilities? Due date of payment is ascertainable from contract. Agreed? Second possibility. Due date of payment is not ascertainable from contract. Third possibility. Payment is linked with what? Payment is linked with completion of event. Did you understand? Three possibilities. When to make invoice in each case. Friends, when to make invoice in each case. When due date of payment is ascertainable from contract on or before such what? Due date of payment. Agree with this? In this case, when to make? On or before date of receipt of payment. On or before date of actual receipt of payment. by supplier. And in last case, on or before, on or before what? Completion of event. Did you understand, all of you? Done? 6. This is done. When this is done, we will take a break. Almost 31 is done. Very big section. 34 small. 31 was biggest task of today. About to complete that. In case there was a stage wise billing made. There was a stage wise billing made by supplier to recipient of supply. Means what? Suppose on 25% of completion of project, you were supposed to pay me 20% amount, not 25. Never full amount. Because if I bill you for 25, I complete 25%. I bill you for 25%. You pay me 25%. Then I may run away. Because that 25% includes my profit also. So always there is some retention money. I completed 25% work. I will be allowed to make bill for say 20%. I complete 50% work. I'll be allowed to make bill for 40%. Usually this happens. So point is 80% work is done. Everything is going well. But suddenly you don't want to take service from me. So our contract ends. Our contract ends before 100% supply. But you are nice enough to give me some extra amount. That okay, we don't need your services, but we don't want bad karma. Take this money which you deserve and tata bye bye. Government says ROS has paid supplier money. We want GST. We want GST. So what is the point? In case where supply of service stops under a contract, ends under a contract before completion of supply, before 100% work could be done, supply ceased, invoice shall be issued. I will give you invoice at time when supply ceases, and such invoice shall be issued to the extent supply made before such cessation. We should pack GST law with all provisions possible. We should not keep any loophole. If we keep any loophole, then you know there will be possibility of leaking, GST leakage. So as government, we should not keep any loophole from where GST can leak. So if any rupee supplier is going to receive from recipient of supply, that should be accompanied with invoice, so that we can recognize time of supply and collect GST. So you will otherwise feel why so much conservatism. It is called as being conservative. Being conservative means you want to pass anyhow. I tell you do 3 revisions minimum. You do 4. That is being conservative. Being extra, being extra, you can say cautious. That is being conservative. And that's what government does while collecting tax and making provisions. So 6 is what? What happens in 6? How should I consolidate it? Supply of service ceases. Supply of service ceases. But how it ceases? When it ceases? Before completion of supply. Before, can I say before completion of 100% supply? Can I use the word 100% to make you understand? Supply of service ends, terminates before completion of 100% supply. Then what is the provision? Make invoice at time of such what? At time of such cessation. To what extent? To the extent supply done till that point. And now comes one very important provision from exam perspective. 31.7. Last one in this 31. Can I tell you? 31.7. Pay attention. What is 31.7? Very, very important from exam perspective. Have you heard of sale on approval basis? Sale on approval basis means it is sale or return. Sale on approval basis. If approved, they will keep the goods. If not approved, they will return. Means this is sale on return basis. Approval for sale or return. This much only I can write here, no problem. So if it is sale on approval basis, fine. Friends, what is the point in this? Today I am sending you goods. Today's date is 1st Jan, suppose. Suppose. Today I am sending you goods. I should make invoice when I send the goods because invoice should be issued at the time of removal. But it is not a final sale. You have told that if you like the goods, then only you will accept. Otherwise, you will reject and you will send me back. So government says it doesn't make sense to make invoice today. If you make invoice today only at the time of removal, there is a possibility that opposite party will reject and you will have to cancel the invoice. So we don't want that. So what is the case? At the time of removal, supply is not involved. So when to make invoice? They say make invoice at the time of approval. Make invoice at the time of approval. So in short, can I say make invoice at the time of supply? Because your supply will be complete when you approve. But government says if we only do this, if we only do this much, people will take disadvantage. So they say all within 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. So if in 6 months you're not approving, then by the end of 6 months, it will be deemed that I have supplied you the goods and I shall make invoice. Make sense? But In seventh month, you send the goods back to me. Then what to do? No problem. Again, you make invoice. I can claim ITC. First, what happened? I sold you goods. I had purchased that goods from somewhere. I sold you the goods. I did not do anything with my ITC because I had sent the goods to you on approval basis. I waited for how many months? 6 months. But you did not send the goods back. So now I have to assume that I have sold the goods and I have to pay my output tax. My output tax will be equal to ITC that I have availed because that's the value I will declare. And I will say that I have sold the goods. No other option because you're not sending the goods back. In seventh month, you send the goods back. Now, whatever ITC I had, I earlier availed. Then I reversed. Means I paid output tax. That much again I will avail because it ideally belonged to me only. Okay. Because sale is cancelled now. So see, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1. Notwithstanding means, overriding effect. Because one was saying, make invoice at the time of removal. So if you listen to 1, you won't be able to listen to 7. So when such is the issue, you will listen to 7. What issue? What issue? Where the goods being sent or taken on approval are removed. When they are removed? Before supply. Because removed on 1st Jan, but approved on 3rd March. So removed before supply. Because supply on 3rd March. Because supply depends on your action. Before supply takes place. Invoice shall be issued when? Before or at the time of supply. Supply means what? Approval. Or 6 months from date of removal. Whichever is earlier. Make sense? Please write. Here what is first point? Here first point is 31.7 has overriding effect. Over which section? Over 31.1. It has overriding effect over 31.1. What is the point? Point is here goods are removed. What? Here goods are removed before supply. Why? As supply takes place only on what? As supply takes place only on approval. So when to make invoice? On or before supply. Always we are ready for before. Huh? On or before supply or within 6 months or within 6 months from date of, yes friends, removal of goods, whichever is make sense. Make sense. I'll give you example. Goods removed. Goods removed. 1st Jan 2025. On what basis? On approval basis. Goods are removed on 1st Jan on what basis? On approval basis. Sale approved. Sale approved on 3rd March 2025. Can you tell me what is date of issue of invoice? What is date of issue of invoice? Yes, friends. Huh? What is date of issue of invoice? Huh? Not 1st Jan. Because it is sold on approval basis. What is the date of issue of invoice? 3rd March. Exactly. So date of issue of invoice is earlier of what? A, date of supply. What is date of supply? Date of supply, that is approval, which is 3rd March 25. Or which is the other date? 6 months from 6 months from what? 1/1/2025 being date of removal. Hope all of you got it. So what is that? 6 months. 30 June 25. So therefore, when to issue invoice? So last date of issue of invoice is what? 3rd March 2025. Understood? If that recipient of supply would have approved on 1st August, then the last date would have been 30 June. Government doesn't have patience beyond 6 months. That is the underlying point. Government doesn't have patience beyond 6 months. Here, no, that's what. This will be neglected. Overriding effect over 31/1. Date of removal doesn't matter because the sale is on approval basis. So don't apply 31/1. You will apply 31/7. Understood? Go to 8th question. In super sums, only one question will do. Then we can end the session. Question number 8. All of you with me? Page number 4 of super sums. Messrs. XT of Kolkata engaged in trading of transmitters. On 20 May, it has sent 500 units for exhibition at Chennai for sale sale or return basis. Out of 500 units, 300 units have been sold on 20th July. at the exhibition. Out of remaining 200 units, 150 units have been brought back on 25/11, and balance 50 have neither been sold nor bought back. Tell me step by step. I'll do rough working for you. I will do rough working for you of super sums. 500. Okay. 21st May 2021. No problem. How many units? 500 units sent. Let us bifurcate those 500 units in three categories. First, 300. Next, 50. Next, 150. Agreed? First 300 are sold, means approved. When they are approved? 28 July 2021. Congratulations. No tension for this. For this, when to make invoice? Make invoice on 28 July 2021, as it is within as it is within 6 months. Next 50 friends. Can you guide me on next 50? Next 50, what has happened? They are returned, right? Acha, 150 is returned. I'll do one thing, na? Smart thing I'll do. Can I write 150 here? And can I do 50 here? Okay, so 150, just add one another. 150. 150 have been returned. When? 25th? 11. Within 6 months or after 6 months? How? How? June, July, August, September, October, November. Don't do things blindly. 6 months got over on 20 November, I think. And 25th November. Why I'm teaching you this months. So, it is returned on 25/11, that is after 6 months. I hope my calculation is correct. Okay, after 6 months, just for your understanding, as 6 months expired on 20 November. Therefore, make invoice. Please make invoice. Please make invoice on 20 November for both. What both? For both. 150 plus 50 units. Same thing, friends, will apply here also. 6 months have expired, nothing different. And what? These 50 are not yet returned. This 50 not returned, not sold. Forget, useless. You have already made invoice for them on 20 November. But you received 150 back. When you received 150 back, 150 received on 25/11. Reclaim. Reclaim what? ITC. Let's read it step by step. When goods being sent for sale or return are removed before supply takes place, tax invoice shall be issued before or at the time of supply or 6 months, whichever is earlier. Fantastic. Provision of section 31(7) of CGST. In given case, 500 units have been sent, okay, on sale or return basis, out of which 300 are sold before 6 months from date of removal. Thus, tax invoice for 300 units need to be issued before or at time of supply of such goods. That is 28th July. I hope we have written correctly. 28th July. Perfect. Next. What next? Remaining 200 units have neither been sold nor bought back till expiry of 6 months. Means till 20th of November. They are neither bought back nor sold. Thus, tax invoice for 200 needs to be issued up to 20 November. Last date is 20 November, not beyond that. That's it. And reclaim ITC, that was additional point. Reclaim ITC of those 150 units which you are getting on 25th November. If you want, you can write that point. I think this was exam question. See this. 4 marks, May 22. So in this way or the other, they'll keep on asking you this 31(7). Fine. So that's it in this session. I think nicely we have covered things which we wanted to. Next section 31A is fine. Facility of digital payment to recipient is fine. 34 we will do after break. It is approximately 12:55. Till what point you want break? 140. ठीक है, take break till 140. No problem. When we meet at 140, we will do section 34. That's it. And 69 also. 68. E-way bills. Thank you.